COVID-19, racism, violence, hatred, division in our country, economic struggles, emotional struggles, physical struggles, and the hits just keep on coming. It is no wonder that we all are beginning to feel a little sense of hopelessness and overwhelm. So today I thought it was important that we spend a little time talking about hopelessness. Remember, hopelessness is a feeling, it is not our reality, but it is an important warning flag that we are going down a path that could ultimately lead to total despair, depression, suicidal thoughts, a complete and total shutting down and giving up. Hopelessness puts us into a position of thinking about things in terms of absolutes. There is never going to be an improvement in this country. There is never going to be a place out of COVID-19. I am never going to be able to emotionally get myself back on solid ground, etc., etc. Keeping in mind that that is the voice of our hopelessness. That is the voice of feeling overwhelmed. And the way that we counter that is to take a closer look at what is out of our control and how do we pivot to changing the goal. We all know how bad hopelessness feels. It is physically painful. It is emotionally exhausting. It is spiritually depleting. The important thing about hopelessness is we have to see it as the warning flag, that we need to pivot to a place of grabbing control over the things that we can control. There are many things that are out of our control, and we've been talking about this for the last several months. The virus is out of our control. Changing the world's perspective on equality and hatred isn't going to change overnight. But moving ourselves away from thinking in those absolute terms, like either I see hope and things are going to be different, or it is all black and all bleak and completely hopeless. Pivoting our thoughts to, well, I might not be able to change the largesse of these problems. My goal has now become, what do I have control over? And once we label that and identify the places that we absolutely can control, where we can make a difference, where we feel inspired, where we feel connected, where we feel like our voice is heard, is where our hope rises. And so thinking about in your own life, how are you coping with all of these stressful situations? How are you managing the difficulties that we find ourselves in? And where can you shift your focus and your thoughts and your actions and your behavior to putting yourself back into a place of control? The other piece about hopelessness is it is a feeling of being disconnected, that nothing that we want or see has any value, purpose, or meaning any longer. Part of shifting ourselves again from hopelessness to a place of inspiring hope within ourselves is to look at those parameters. Where have we lost our focus? Where can we develop a sense of purpose? What is back within our control that gives us a sense of meaning about why we're even here? Again, you as healthcare providers serve a valuable role in taking care of people, in nurturing people, in helping people through the journey of life and death. At periods of feeling scared and overwhelmed, you're the comfort. Your purpose sits within that. And I imagine your purpose within your personal life or your community is also related to you as a healthcare provider, as a giver, as a carer for others. Allowing yourself to take a deep look in the mirror and focus on that issue of who you are at the core of you and what gives you purpose, what gives you value, what gifts do you have to contribute to the solution of the many, many things that we are struggling with as a country, as a nation, as a world. Where can you lend your gifts, your talents, your voice to the conversation, to improving the lives of other people? In your community, in your family, in your home, in your own heart, in your own mind. When we do that, our hope rises. We begin to feel like, yeah, I can do that. This is where I can make a contribution. It's why people band together. It's why people are supporting healthcare providers in sharing your messages about wearing masks, about staying protected, not only for themselves, but to help and support you. It's why people are protesting around the racism and the hate and the division in our country. We want to be part of the solution. And in the absence of that, in the absence of feeling like we have the energy around moving towards making a contribution, we can retreat into a place of feeling hopeless. And finally, the other place to instill a sense of hope and purpose within ourselves is to move our world away from the wide-angle lens to the smaller, microscopic moments of our life. How can I get through today? What do I need to do to lift myself up, to make me feel inspired, to give me the resilience to add my contribution to the struggles that this world is going through? And I think once we do that, we find our voice, we find our power, and we find our goals, and we find our purpose. And once we do that, we instill the hope. Stay well until I see you in the next one.